it as the day for schools to reopen. However, the National Corona Command Council made a call to delay the school bell by 2 weeks. The delay was to avoid a scenario where the healthcare system became overwhelmed by COVID cases.
The Council of Education Ministers, in conjunction with the National Coronavirus Command Council and Cabinet, has taken the decision to delay the reopening of both public and private schools with 2 weeks.
2 weeks later, it was pen to paper for hundreds of thousands of pupils. However, things were not as rosy as it became evident that the challenges of 2020 had morphed into the new year. A report by Teacher Union, Suid-Afrikaanse Onderwyseres-Unie, SAU, showed that the foundation phase was in dire straits. Many primary schools demonstrated poor skills in numeracy and literacy as a result of not being in the classroom full time. And swaths of the curriculum were not even being covered.
If a child loses a week of school time, the child has lost approximately 1.5 weeks of actual learning because of the way learning works, because of disruptions, because of forgetting. If children are not in contact with teachers, especially children from disadvantaged communities, learning does not happen as it should.
It was a winter of discontent. The proposed school calendar had to once again be reshuffled as the country entered level 4 lockdown. The Delta variant closed schools earlier for the winter break. However, there was a glimmer of hope as basic education staff were prioritized for the second phase of vaccinations. The targeted number of teaching and non-teaching staff was over 580,000.
What is encouraging me is the fact that we continue to receive requests for assistance from some of our teachers who were initially hesitant.
The vaccination drive did not come without its fair share of hiccups. The department had to extend its vaccination deadline after some hesitancy from staff. However, by the end of July, 517,000 educators had received the jab.
I'm so happy as an educator to be vaccinated because we have been longing for so long since we work with kids, many people.
It proved to be a bitter winter. Schools had to stay closed an additional week as the country stayed a little longer under level 4 lockdown. Despite this, things seemed to be on an upward trajectory. Basic Education announced that by the beginning of August, primary school learners would return to the classroom full time.
We hope to start phasing in your primary school from the 2nd of August, but some high school learners who are not covered by the full return to school would still really be on a rotational.
DBE once again hit turbulent waters as unions refused its proposal to scrap the September holidays to make up for lost time.
The unions as a collective, NAPTOSA included, remain steadfastly opposed to the removal of the holidays. We see it as unreasonable, inconsiderate, and not taking into consideration the mental health of our teachers.
Weeks into the planned return of all primary school learners, it became evident that the remnants of a historically unequal schooling system would plague the department. Some primary school learners would still continue to follow a rotational system. As learners continued to operate within the ebb and the flow of the system, the Human Rights Commission entered the fray after it became apparent that some schools would need to continue under the rotational timetable in 2022. The Commission held that the rotational schooling had a long-lasting negative impact on learning.
The South African Human Rights Commission holds that rotational learning has a long-lasting negative impact on learning outcomes for children. And as the Ministerial Advisory Committee's advice states, that the harms of learners attending school on a rotational basis, specifically the severe cognitive, nutritional and psychosocial costs involved, exceed the benefits of reduced COVID-19 infections.
As the Human Rights Commission fought to protect the future of primary school learners, the matric class of 2021 started their final examinations. There were concerns after examination dates were reshuffled to accommodate local government elections. An announcement of load shedding during the final exam also sparked some anxiety. But the department was adamant that the show would go on. Exams and schoolings continued into December without major challenges. By the end of December, a relaxing of lockdown level regulation raised the question, would this mean that schools would go back to a full-time attendance schedule?
The adjustments that have been made in recent days and weeks, we hope that it will be possible. But before we get there, a lot of work needs to happen. The minister will still need to engage a whole range of stakeholders and contact and consult the MECs in the provinces.
Just what the new year will hold is a question best left to physics. The new variants seem to blur. Omicron, Delta, IHU. COVID-19 seems to remain a clear and present danger. Mahla Kokomane, SABC News.